So I was on B&H Photo and I just saw this PowerSeeker 60 used for $35. Time for another product review.
Hey everyone, Jennifer Reed from Learn to Stargaze. You may have been expecting John to host this video, but thanks to the latest wave of COVID, we've decided to take turns doing remote learning with our kids. So now that I'm in charge, we're going to take this channel in a completely new direction, the search for Uranus. Anyway, this is Learn to Stargaze. So apparently this video is a follow-up to last month's video on the Astromaster 60AZ telescope. I can't tell you for sure because I haven't actually seen it. Anyway, in that video, John tested a 70mm Celestron telescope on Jupiter to see how it compared to its larger sibling, the 100AZ. You may recall, I don't, that AstroBiscuit did a review using a 60mm version of this scope, using Jupiter as his target, and his views were quite impressive. Note that Jupiter is the largest planet in the solar system and the second easiest target in the sky, besides the moon. In this video, we're going to take this a step further and see if we can use this telescope to see the furthest planet in our solar system, Neptune. And if that doesn't work, we'll simply use the telescope to see Uranus. Is that safe to say on YouTube? So John is constantly buying telescopes. Like, constantly. They're all over the house. He camps out on B&H Photo's used site, and when deals pop up, he picks up a new telescope. He bought this telescope for only $34. And if we go to the website now, this telescope is still in stock at only $79 US. But is the scope worth it? Let's find out. Cue an unboxing time lapse. 2 instruction manuals. Now what does he do?
So kind of like knickknacks first. Is it good? Is it useful? Do you feel like anything is missing?
Okay, so what do we have for accessories? We have a 20mm eyepiece providing 36 times magnification. We have 2 eyepieces, I don't know which one. We have, for some reason, a 4mm eyepiece providing 180 magnification. And I know that the maximum magnification of a telescope is 2 times the telescope's aperture in millimeters. This telescope's aperture is 60mm, so its maximum magnification is 120. Now I'm going to show you where to put this 4mm eyepiece. Oh look, this one says 20mm. It's this one. This one's garbage. Okay. Next, this telescope also comes with a 3x Barlow. It says it on the outside, so that's easy. Or are you supposed to say 3x Barlow? If we combine this with the 20mm eyepiece, we get 108 time magnification. But you'll only use this after you've found your target. Increasing the magnification of a telescope does not affect the resolution of a telescope. It's sort of like reading. Putting a book closer to your face doesn't make the story any better. From AstroBiscuit's website, we can see that this is the exact telescope he's recommending if your budget is only £100. What he likes about it is the yoke and rod mount. I'm guessing this is the yoke and this is the rod? I guess I should probably set it up and figure out what that means. Locate the optical tube and line up the tube with the holes on the mount. Doesn't matter which side you put it in from. Is this really supposed to go all the way through here? Insert slow motion control rod into the hole. Which hole? I have no idea. Like that? I don't know what that would do. Locate the finder scope. I think John had opinions about this. This finder scope is pretty small and only good for, well, the moon. I wouldn't want someone accidentally thinking they could use this thing to find stuff in space. Just open this drawer here and put it in the trash. We're going to replace it with a red dot finder, which costs about $10, or in this case, about 1/3 the cost of the entire telescope, which still looks like it needs help. Oh, maybe that goes in here now. This one? Eyepiece. All right, so John brought this telescope for me to take the red dot finder off. So all I have to do is remove it and just put it on these bolts and tighten it on. And we're ready to go. Okay, so now we're going to align the scope, and we're going to do that by aiming at a chimney. So for the telescope, this is the slow, whatever that was called. And twisting this knob makes the telescope go up and down. But there's not really anything to help you go nicely from right to left. So you kind of need to just push on the telescope a bit to get it to do that. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And now I need to make sure that the red dot finder is pointed at exactly the same spot, so that way when we're looking for smaller things farther away, it'll be easy to find them. So this knob turns it on, and it also adjusts the brightness of your red dot to make it more or less visible, which is good to know because at first I had it turned on really, really light and I couldn't see it at all. So turned it all the way on so you can see it. And then this knob does up and down, and this knob adjusts right to left. And make sure that that's pointed at the same spot. Now they're aligned so we can find stuff. We can use a website called Astronomy Tools to go with our Uranus theme. We can use a website called Astronomy Tools to see what these planets will look like in the telescope. Here's Uranus with the 20mm eyepiece. Here's Neptune with the 20mm eyepiece. I don't see anything. Do you? Now, let's add the Barlow. Here's Neptune, and here's Uranus. I still don't see anything. Are we supposed to see something? If we do see Uranus or Neptune with this telescope, it's going to be a point source, just like a tiny star. Because planets are constantly wandering across the sky along a region called the ecliptic, you always need to use software or an updated star map specific to the current date. These planets are definitely too dim to see from the city without the use of a telescope. So, how do you find them? And even if the telescope is pointed at exactly the right spot, how do you identify them? Basically, we'll need to go to Stellarium and build a star map. Then we'll use the bright stars as a guide to get the telescope pointed in approximately the right place. The planets should appear bright in the telescope, at least brighter than the stars in the background.
Hey everyone, it's John back again. Just a few comments on the telescope here. Got it out on the back deck looking at the moon, which looks actually beautiful in this scope with the 20mm eyepiece. I tried the 4mm eyepiece, and you can tell that the view is not perfect. You lose that crisp sharpness that you get with a lower power, but it actually is functional on the moon. I'm not sure I would use the 4mm eyepiece on anything else. I tried the 3X Barlow with both eyepieces, and I actually wasn't able to get it in focus in either eyepiece. So this is going in a drawer. So we're here outside the city, not because we need dark skies. You can totally see Uranus from the city, but it'll make the reference stars much easier to see. You usually don't need your eyes fully adjusted to the dark to view planets, so it's okay that I'm setting up with the white light. I'm gonna turn the finder on, and let's just use Sirius here to line it up. So again, we're just trying to get Sirius in the eyepiece and stop it from flopping all over the place. Let's get a star map. So we're gonna look at Uranus tonight. Neptune is a little too low on the horizon. We've got two maps here. We've got one map that shows the constellations, and that way we can point the telescope in approximately the right spot as we search for the planet. And then we've also got a second map that shows what Uranus should look like in the field of view of the telescope. And what I'm looking for, it's kind of hard to see, but we've actually got three little stars in a row, and they sort of point at Uranus. And Uranus is beside another almost equally bright star right now. So using these three stars and this other star right here, we should be able to get Uranus in the field of view. So I know approximately where it is. So I'm gonna move over to the telescope and see if I can get it pointed in approximately the right spot. Before I go any further, I am gonna get a chair. I can see stars in the eyepiece, but they're pretty darn dim. Okay, I'm gonna move to a better eyepiece. So this is the one that came with the telescope. And I'm gonna put in a Plossel eyepiece. Point the scope at a bright star. You need to adjust your focus every time you change your eyepiece. Okay, but Uranus in this telescope, I can see it, but it just looks like a normal star. All right, should we see what this planet looks like in a slightly better telescope? What do you say?
Definitely.
Look, it's so cold, the trunk won't even stay open. This is a cold telescope. It's a 2-inch barrel, 20mm eyepiece. Here I am turning the tower rod on. I have to remember that this telescope is an inverted image. Obviously the magnification is a little bit higher, so I might get some help with the star sense to get this in shot. And we're gonna clip this into the telescope. So star sense is telling us push the telescope this way, and it's gonna keep taking photos of the sky to make sure that the telescope is pointed exactly right spot. Telescope on target. All right. So sometimes the star sense doesn't put it right on target, but it usually gets us pretty close. We've got it in the big telescope. We can see it is a disc. Might need to take a break and show some people the stars. Do you want to see a nebula real quick? The entire frame is a giant gas cloud in space, so that's where new stars are being born.
That's actually sick. I'm actually upset.
Yeah, no problem. So if you've watched my other videos, I generally have a series of tests that we run the telescope through to see if it meets the minimum criteria for a beginner telescope. So let's run through those now. Does the telescope effortlessly move? Well, as you saw earlier, I can't push it down, so no, fail. Actually, this telescope is quite annoying on that point. Does the telescope stay where you put it? No, it also fails at that. Can the telescope point high in the sky? Yeah, technically, but even I had to get out of my chair and down on my knees to do it, so I give that a yellow. Does the telescope have 4 inches of aperture? No, it has only just over half that. Does it come with a bullseye finder? No, fail on that as well. And so as with the other telescopes, we're going to give this telescope one final shot. Is this telescope good enough to steal? Just in case anyone does happen to steal this telescope, we provided all the instructions and eyepiece and everything they need to get started. We won't report them to the police, don't worry about that. Having to use this telescope will be punishment enough. So the telescope's been outside for 3 nights now, and it managed not to get stolen, so I guess it failed that test as well.
Okay, and now we've run out of script. So thanks for watching. Remember, the future is looking up. And now we have one more telescope. What does that make? 10 telescopes? 13? I don't even know these days.